Hi everyone, Julie is here. I'm glad to see my channel here for the subscription. And the theme of today's video will be who inhabited Ireland in the past. So let's begin. Many to this day are wondering who exactly inhabited Ireland and whether there is difference between following terms or whether they are synonyms. Today we will understand based on official history that taught to everyone. Another thing is that we admit the generally accepted facts that any ruler writes history for himself, and one or another people can be passed off as another. The same as now often bad called good, and vice versa. So we take note of the information but do not perceive it as the ultimate truth. And if you know something on this topic, when comments awaiting you. So let's figure out who the Vikings, Celts and Druids are.
The Vikings were early medieval Scandinavian sailors in the 18th, 11th centuries who made sea voyages from Finland to Burma and northern Africa. For the most part, these were tribes in the state of decomposition of the tribal system, living on the territory of modern Sweden, Denmark, and Norway, who were pushed out of their native countries by overpopulation and famine. By religious affiliation, the Vikings were overwhelmingly pagan.
The Swedish, Norwegian, and Danish Viking who moved west and known from the Latin sources under the name Normans. But note, in the Old French, the word Normans and Viking are not quite synonyms. The Franks called Normans all Northerners, including Slavs, Finns, and etc., and not just Scandinavians. The exact ethnic composition of the Viking in Eastern Europe, including Baltic lands and the modern territory of Russia, is unknown, but European historians suggest that they could be Swedish.
The written culture of the peoples of Scandinavia was formed only after the advent of Christianity, that is, already at the end of the Viking Age, so most of the history of the Vikings has no written sources. Some idea of the life of Vikings is given by the Scandinavian sagas, but these sources should be approached with caution due, as a rule, to the later time of their compilation and recording. Information about the Viking Russo is contained in Arabic sources of the 9th, 11th centuries.
In the Scandinavian chronicles, the term Viking in its current sense was not used, and rather characterized as social phenomenon when free people who did not belong to the nobility were forced to seek a better life outside their homeland.
Some believe that the word Viking comes from the word bay, that is, Viking, one who hides in the bay, but in this case it can be applied to peaceful merchants as well. Finally, they tried to associate the word Viking with the Old English Vik, which meant a trading post, a city, a fortified camp. The theory is still the prevailing one in England. There is also a version that this term is associated with the verb Viking, which early in the north of Norway meant to go to the sea to acquire wealth and glory. At present, the hypothesis of a Swedish scientist Askeberg, who believes that the term comes from the verb to turn, to deviate, is also considered acceptable. A Viking, according to his interpretation, is a person who sailed away from home, left his homeland, that is, a sea warrior, a pirate who went on campaign for prey. It's curious that in ancient sources this word was more often called the enterprise itself, a predatory campaign, than the person who participated in it.
Moreover, the concepts were strictly separated. trading enterprise, and robbery enterprise. Note that in the eyes of Scandinavians themselves, the word Viking also had a negative connotation. In the Icelandic sagas of the 30th century, Vikings were people suggest in piracy and robbery, unbridled and bloodthirsty. The Celts are tribes of Indo-European origin, close in language and material culture, who in ancient time at the turn of the Eris inhabited vast territory of Western and Central Europe.
The first recorded use of the name Celts to refer to an ethnic group was by the Greek geographer Hecataeus of Miletus in 517 BC, when he wrote about the people living near Massilia, modern Marseille. In the 5th century BC, Herodotus mentioned the Celts living in the upper reaches of the Danube as well as in the far west of Europe. The etymology of the term is unclear. Possible roots include Indo-European, to hide, also present in Old Irish, or hid, or to compel, induce. Some authors suggest that in an ethnonym, while others consider it to be a name coined by the Greeks. The linguist Patricia de Bernardes Temple belongs to the latter group and suggests the meaning high.
In the 1st century BC, Julius Caesar reported that the people known by the Romans as the Gauls called themselves Celts. This suggests that if the name Celts was given by the Greeks, it was to some extent adopted by Gauls tribes as a collective name. In modern English, the word Celt was firstly recorded in 1707 in the work of linguist Edward Lude. Those work, along the work of other scholars of the 18th century, drew attention at the scientific world of the languages and history of the early Celtic inhabitants of the Great Britain.
Gauls. Rooster, Gauls, the Roman name of those Celts who lived in Gaul, the tribes of the Celtic group who came and lived on the territory of the Roman province of Gaul, the territory of present-day France, Belgium, part of Switzerland, Germany, and northern Italy, from the beginning of the 5th century BC to the Roman period. In terms of the rule of harsh northern barriers, the Celts compete with the Vikings. Only if the Vikings are usually attacking, then the Celts are usually defending.
Druids, the priest of ancient Celtic peoples, organized in the form of closed but not hereditary estate, also performed the functional judges, were engaged in medicine and astronomy.
The word Druid comes from the Latin Druids, plural, which Roman writers consider it to be derived from the Celtic designation for these Druids. Greek texts also use the form Druids. Although none of the surviving Romano-Celtic inscriptions give this form, it's related to the later words of the Insular Celtic languages: Old Irish, sorcerer, Old Root, Middle Welsh, prophet. Based on all available forms, it can be assumed that in the Proto-Celtic language, these words sounded like Druids, which mean he who knows the oak. The two elements of the word go back to the Proto-Indo-European roots, daru, tree, also related to the word with the meaning solid, possibly ancient, and wait, to see, also to know.
It's believed that it was Druids who created most of Celtic magical signs, knots and crosses, and if you're interested in their meaning, welcome to my review of Celtic tattoos. We drew a conclusion and no longer confused. By the way, subscribe to my channel, mark the bell in order not to miss new release, and push the button if you like this video. Move on. Ireland was mostly inhabited by the Celts, and today the modern Celtic people include Irish, Welsh, Scots, Britons, Druids, and Mansi. And if you're interested in who inhabited Ireland today, I recommend watch my video. What is also interesting is the Celtic name in the modern Europe.
Belgium, on behalf of the Belg tribe. Belfast, in Celtic, Sandbankford. Brittany, a region in France, named after the tribe of the Britons. Britain in the same. Galatia, historical region on the territory of modern Turkey, from the Greek name of the Celts, Galatians. Galicia, province in Spain. Galicia, historical region on the territory of the Ukraine. Gaul, historical region on the territory of modern France, Belgium, part of Switzerland, Germany, and northern Italy. Dublin is Irish for Black Lake. Celtic Sea, Paris, from the name of the Celtic tribe of the Parisians. The whole story, though mixed, but some puzzles can be connected quite well.
Well, I said so much, but you got a lot of stuff to talk about. See you next thematic video.